Bodybuilding did not begin with modern gyms. It did not begin with protein powders. It did not begin with machines, mirrors, Instagram, or men filming their biceps under perfect lighting. It began much earlier. Before bodybuilding had a name, the human body was already being trained, shaped, admired, and judged. Warriors trained their bodies for survival. Athletes trained their bodies for victory. Statues carved their ideal physique into stone. Strongmen turned strength into performance. And eventually, bodybuilders turned muscle itself into the message. But this story is not only about bigger arms, wider backs, or lower body fat. It is about something deeper. It is about the human desire to build the body into something greater, something powerful, something beautiful, something respected, something almost impossible to ignore. This is the story of bodybuilding, from ancient strength to modern muscle. And this is the story of how muscle became one of the most powerful symbols in human culture. Long before bodybuilding became a sport, the body already had meaning. In ancient cultures, a strong body was not just about appearance. It was survival, it was protection, it was status, it was discipline. It was proof that a person could endure hardship, control themselves, and perform when it mattered. In ancient Greece, the athletic body was celebrated almost like a work of art. Wrestlers, runners, fighters, and soldiers trained their bodies not because they wanted likes, followers, or stage trophies, but because the body represented excellence. The body was connected to courage, to discipline, to honor, to power. This is important because the original idea of physical development was not separated from life. Training was not just something people did for 1 hour in a gym. It was connected to who they were, how they fought, how they moved, how they survived, how they were seen by others. And this is one of the first lessons modern lifters can still learn from the ancient world. The body was never just decoration. It was function first, the look came from the life. Over time, strength began to move from the battlefield and the athletic arena into public entertainment. People did not only want to see who was strong, they wanted to see strength. They wanted to watch it, measure it, celebrate it. This is where the strongman culture became important. Before modern bodybuilding stages, before fitness expos, before transformation photos, there were strongmen performing in theaters, fairs, circuses, and public halls. They lifted strange objects. They bent metal. They carried impossible weights. They used their bodies to create wonder. But something else started happening. People were not only impressed by what these men could lift, they were also impressed by how they looked. The muscular body was becoming a spectacle. Strength was still the main attraction, but the physique was starting to become part of the performance. This was the bridge. The body was no longer only a tool, it was becoming a display. And that small shift would change everything. Then came Eugene Sandow. And with him, bodybuilding began to take a new shape. Sandow was strong, yes, but his real genius was not only a strength. His real genius was presentation. He understood something powerful. People did not only want to see what the body could do, they wanted to admire what the body could become. Sandow posed under stage lights. He displayed his physique like a living statue. He connected muscle with art, symmetry, control, and classical beauty. This was a turning point, because now the body itself became the performance. Not the lift, not the object being moved, not the weight on the bar, the body, the proportions, the shape, the control, the image. This is where modern bodybuilding begins to separate itself from pure strength. Power still mattered, but appearance started to matter more. And from that moment, the question changed. It was no longer only, how strong are you? It became, what have you built? From Sandow, bodybuilding continued to evolve. Each era added something, and each era also took something away. In the early physical culture years, bodybuilding was still closely connected to posture, health, control, and strength. The goal was not only to become massive. The goal was to build a balanced, capable, impressive body. Then came the classic physiques. The shape became more refined. The waist mattered. The shoulders mattered. The chest, back, arms, legs, and posture all had to work together. The body was judged almost like a sculpture, not just by size, but by proportion. Then came the golden era, and this is where bodybuilding became iconic. The gyms, the beaches, the posing, the charisma, the personalities, the physiques that look powerful, athletic, and dramatic at the same time. For many people, this is still the image they think about when they hear the word bodybuilding. Not just mass, but presence, aesthetic, confidence, style. Then bodybuilding kept moving forward. The bodies became bigger, the standards changed, the sport became more extreme. More muscle, more conditioning, more size, more pressure. And in many ways, more distance from the average person watching it from the outside. Bodybuilding had become impressive, but also harder to relate to. And then came the modern era. Social media changed everything. Now bodybuilding was no longer only on a stage. It was on phones, in reels, in transformation videos, in supplement ads, in online coaching pages, in gym mirrors, in the constant comparison of one body against another. Muscle became content, training became identity, and the physique became not only something people built, but something people had to prove every day. This is where we have to be careful. The past was not perfect. Old school bodybuilding had problems. Modern bodybuilding has achieved incredible things. Training knowledge has improved. Nutrition has improved. Exercise science has improved. But still, there is something modern lifters can learn from the past. The basics matter. Consistency matters. Technique matters.
Awesome.
Progressive training matters. Recovery matters. Proportion matters. And most importantly, the body should not be built at the expense of the person behind it. Because building muscle is not only about chasing more weight, more size, more attention, more comparison. Sometimes the real lesson is learning what to keep simple. Learning how to train hard without becoming reckless.
Awesome.
Learning how to respect the body instead of pushing it. Learning how to build a physique that reflects discipline, not insecurity. That is why bodybuilding history still matters. Because when you study the past, you see the same lessons repeating again and again. The people who built impressive bodies were not chasing magic. They trained consistently. They repeated the basics. They respected the craft. They understood that the body changes slowly. And they knew that muscle is not built by confusion. It is built by repetition, patience, effort, and time. Today, bodybuilding is bigger than ever. But bigger doesn't always mean better. Somewhere along the way, muscle became more than muscle. It became proof. Proof of discipline, proof of status, proof of masculinity, proof of success. Proof that you are in control. But this is where bodybuilding becomes complicated. Because the same thing that can build confidence can also create obsession. The same mirror that shows progress can also create pressure. The same discipline that changes a life can also become a prison. And this is why bodybuilding is so fascinating. It is not just a sport. It is not just a hobby. It is a mirror of human behavior. It shows our hunger for improvement, our fear of weakness, our desire for respect, our obsession with image, our need to control something in a world that often feels out of control. That is why the story of bodybuilding is not just about muscle. It is about people. So when we look back at bodybuilding, we should not only ask who was the biggest. We should ask what each era tells us about training, about discipline, about health, about culture, about obsession, about the way humans have always tried to shape the body into something greater. Because from ancient athletes to strongmen, from Sandow to the golden era, from mass monsters to modern influencers, the story has always been bigger than muscle. It is the story of the body as power, the body as art, the body as identity, the body as performance, the body as obsession. And this channel is going to follow that story, not just to look back, but to understand what bodybuilding can still teach us today. This is the story of muscle, from ancient strength to modern bodybuilding obsession.